So my name is Jean Moret. I'm a PhD student at McGill University in Montreal. And today I'm having a conversation with Dr. Dirk Büchner, who is Professor of Biblical Studies at Trinity Western University. And we want to talk about a course that Dirk will be teaching in a few weeks, May 4th to the 8th. As some of you may know, Dirk is one of the fellows of the John William Weaver's Institute, a research center at Trinity Western University. And the Institute has been offering a Septuagint summer course for several years now. And these are available to students all over the world via web streaming. So Dirk, I wonder if you can first tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got interested in the Septuagint, your training maybe, and what your current research is about.
Thank you, Jean, for this opportunity. My primary role as teacher here is to teach Hebrew Bible and Old Testament to undergraduates. And then I'm also very happy to be able to teach in graduate studies. And I teach an advanced Greek course in which I'm able to teach some things related to Septuagint. My PhD was under Johann Cook from the University of Stellenbosch. And I came to Septuagint via Judaism. And I'm very grateful to Johann for introducing me to this family because he is the great facilitator. And so my work for my PhD was on the book of Exodus and how the translation of Exodus related to the rabbinic materials on Exodus. And that was for me a very enjoyable role. And since then, I've been involved in the NETS project, translating the Septuagint, and my work was on the book of Leviticus. And right now I'm involved in the commentary on Leviticus.
Okay, very good. Enough to keep you busy for quite a while, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. So the course title is Septuagint Approaches and Methods. So I wonder if we could talk a little bit about the course. Maybe in the first place, like who should be interested in this course?
I could say that Septuagint is quite a hub of industry and interest in biblical studies worldwide. And there is a general interest among younger students and also older people in the Septuagint because it is the Bible of the early church. And it is also the first translation ever made in antiquity of such a scale. So people interested in this course might be anybody involved in biblical studies or ministerial disciplines, students wishing to go on to PhD studies, or ordinary Bible readers wanting to know a little bit more about the relationship between the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Right, right. Yes, it's quite, the Septuagint is gathering a lot of interest these days for various reasons. When we think of the Greek language or Hellenistic Judaism,
Yes.
it's quite a variety of topics that can be covered. So you mentioned a lot of different people here. What would be the prerequisites for taking this course then?
Let's say that anyone of graduate standing would be eligible for full registration. We will also have the option for people to audit the course if perhaps they do not feel terribly confident in their language ability. So speaking of language ability, we would require a rudimentary knowledge of Greek, and an elementary knowledge of Hebrew would be fantastic, although it would not be essential.
Mm-hmm. Right, so it's fairly accessible then for people that are not necessarily initiated to the field, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why a course on methods? So why is this course particularly important in the current context? Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
I think like any academic discipline, the discipline of Septuagint scholarship has learned much from the past. And the discipline continues to become more and more sophisticated. some positions have been abandoned and new ones have become prominent. And I can think of what we call the interlinear paradigm, which is now almost 20 years old. And our institute subscribes to this paradigm, and it has elicited some debate in the field. But debate is so essential, and our entire discipline is colored by vigorous debate, without which our discipline would be sterile. So a discussion of method is very important.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So what are students going to learn then? Can you maybe give us an overview of the course contents? I know that the syllabus will be made available, but it might be useful to hear from you why you thought specific topics were important to include in this course.
Yes, thanks. I thought about which rooms I would like to show people in the Septuagint house. And so I have planned to open 5 doors by a small crack, just to make people curious about some of the areas in which the Septuagint is of interest and alive to students. So on Monday, we will look at the matter of translation in antiquity. What do you do when you translate a sacred text? Is your translation designed to replace it, or does the original retain its prestige? And then on Tuesday is about the meaning of Septuagint words in their native context and in their literary context. Sometimes what we call the documentary evidence, like the papyri and inscriptions, have shed light on the meaning of Septuagint words, once thought to be unique to the Septuagint. Other times, words in the Septuagint are used in ways that are out of kilter with their use in the living language by reason of the force exerted by the parent text, and we call this linguistic interference. So the Septuagint is elevated language, but it is also language which is subservient to its original. On Wednesday, I wish to ask some questions about the place of the Septuagint as the scriptures of the New Testament and the early church. And we'll explore attitudes to scripture taken by Paul, the writer to the Hebrews, and the 3 great figures, Augustine, Jerome, and Origen. On Thursday, we will look at the matter of changes made to the text by later updaters of the text. And we'll do a bit of art historical detective work, like looking at a really old painting to see who touched the painting, who touched up the painting and painted over certain parts, what would be original, and why would changes have been made to a text. And in this terrain, the historical books from Samuel and Kings are really interesting. And on Friday, the last door will be to join the conversation on the Septuagint's theology. Were the translators making a new theology when they produced renderings that are quite different from the Hebrew? And that will kind of relate to a little bit of how the Septuagint was viewed as scriptures by the early church and even today. And just to mention, I will make for every day available some notes and some reading guides and the texts on the internal website of the university, which will be instantly accessible to anyone who has registered.
Okay, very good. All interesting topics, all of subject of debates in some way. So what will be your approach then to these debates? What are you trying to get students exposed to there?
I think there will be times when I will take a stronger position than others, and in others I will kind of land in the middle, in the center of the debates, and allow people to make their own decisions and go in their own directions.
Good.
Because I think in our discipline, when people have taken partisan stances, it has often led to unfortunate divisions and hurt feelings. But nevertheless, that is what is living and dynamic about any academic study.
Yeah, but you're right. They're all very important issues when someone approaches the Septuagint, which is a very fascinating, but at the same time, complex task, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Good. How can someone take this course? We mentioned earlier that it was going to be available online. I mean, in the current circumstances, it's probably the only way, regardless of taking a course. You mentioned that it's available for credit or audit.
That's correct.
Can potential students contact you for more information about the course if needed?
Yes, please. In fact, some have already emailed me, and we've had some discussion. My email address is, if you go on the Septuagint organization website, I am the treasurer, and my email address is there.
Okay.
Otherwise, it is dirk.büchner@twu.ca, and I'm easily found on the Trinity Western website.
Very good.
The course will be live streamed via Zoom, and each class will be recorded.
Okay, very good. Just a quick question. When I had the opportunity to take this course or a similar course a few years ago, which I very much appreciated, I took it for audit, but I was surprised that Dr. Perkins at the time was willing to grade my assignments regardless. Is this something that you would also offer to prospective students?
Absolutely, and I regard it as a conversational kind of course, and particularly the assignment that will be due at the end of July will be one with which I can interact with the students and help them along so that it will not just be a once-off submission and that's it.
Okay, very good. And what about the registration deadline? When is the deadline to sign up for the course?
Because the course begins so early after the end of the regular semester, we thought we would leave the registration open until the day of the beginning of the course. But certainly if students wanted to register earlier, they would have the materials accessible for them to start reading beforehand, although that would not be required.
Okay, very good. Yeah, May 4th is coming up pretty quickly. So great. That's good news. All right. Any other comments you want to add, Dirk, before we wrap it up?
I just want to thank you personally, Jean, for your efforts at publicizing our course and for conducting this interview.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dirk. This looks like a great opportunity. So again, the course is Septuagint Approaches and Methods. It's held May 4th through the 8th. It's really great that the Weavers Institute is able to offer something like this again this year, especially given the circumstances. Like I said, I had the opportunity to attend a similar class a number of years ago, and it was truly beneficial. I'm sure it'll be a great class. So stay safe, everyone.